welcome to another video, and today it is my December wrap-up. As you can tell, I am filming downstairs in my lounge because, well, to be totally honest, I'm too lazy to go upstairs and film. So I've got my laptop next to me, I've got a pile of books next to me. Let's go through the books that I read in December. So let's start off with the stats. Let me squish over. We have got Bracken down here, she might appear in a minute. So first of all, the books that I read 17 books in December, which honestly is huge. It's not quite my best reading month of the year, but it's not far. My best reading month in the year was April, where I read 19 books. December I read 17 with no DNFs, so that's really, really good. Page count is slightly lower than April, so in April, my best reading month, I read 6,659 pages. December, I read 6,476, so I still think that is huge. That's a huge amount of pages, huge amount of books. I'm really, really happy with myself. I think I have done very, very well this month. But let's get, I read across 6 different genres. I read 6 books that were romances, 4 fantasy, 3 thriller, 1 historical fiction, 1 contemporary and 2 dark academia. So yeah, I think that was quite good. That was quite a fun mix of different genres. In terms of star rating, this month wasn't quite as good as November, where I had such a great reading month in terms of how highly rated my books were. But my star ratings, I gave 1 book 5 star, 2 4.5 stars, 4 4 stars, 4 3.5 stars, 3 3 stars, and 3 2.5 stars. Like I said, I didn't have any DNFs this month, so that was really good. But yeah, there weren't quite as many 5 stars as I would have liked, though I did read a couple of books that were 5-star predictions and didn't quite hit that 5-star level. I think 1 got 4.5 and 1 got 4 stars, but still happy with that. And then how I read the books. 11 I read physically, 4 I read digitally, so on my Kindle, and 2 were mixed media, where I both had the audiobook and I was reading physically. Both of those were actually pretty much a 50-50 split in terms of what I listened to and what I read physically, so I'll class them as mixed media rather than audiobooks. Sometimes I will kind of read a book that's mainly in audio, but I have it physically and I might just kind of glance along every now and then. Those ones I normally would class as audio because I've mainly read it by audio, but with both of these ones it was about 50-50. So that's enough stats. Back you come up here, good girl. Okay, let's start off at the top with the books that I read in December. First book that I read, I'll have to pop up here. I actually have either given away or, like I said, I read quite a lot of books digitally this month, so I don't have all of the books. There'll be quite a few that are going to just be popped up here. But the first one that I read was Making Mine This Christmas by Lizzie Huxley-Jones. So I gave this one 3.5 stars. It was a Christmas book that I got in an in an Afterlight box last year at the end of 2022. And this book, like I said, I gave it 3.5 stars. I liked it. It was fine. It wasn't, I have since given it away. I sort of felt as well, I will just say, I've given away all of the Christmas books, or most of the Christmas books, because I kind of felt like, hey Bracken, go away. People are only going to read them at Christmas. You know, you don't tend to read a Christmas book after Christmas. So I didn't want to hold on to them just for the purposes of this video and then no one want them for 12 months. So I gave them away as I finished. But with Making Mine This Christmas, it is a kind of fake dating book. So we follow our main character who meets a guy at a party, and she pretends to be his girlfriend just to help him save face in front of someone who is clearly his ex. They then become friends, and they decide that they're going to carry on this fake dating, and she's going to go home with to his family's house and basically pretend to be him. We get there back at the family's house. Our main character decides that actually she fancies his sister, and well, fake dating boyfriend's part sibling. I don't know if that is a trope, but it all gets kind of messy and dramatic and awesome. I did like the premise of this one. I also really liked that the sister was disabled. She has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So I actually gave this book to my friend Steffi, who also has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, just because I know it's something that she really enjoys reading about, because it's her own voices. Yeah, I liked the book. I just found that it was a little bit predictable. I didn't think it did anything new or exciting, so like I said, I gave it 3.5 stars. The next book I read, and again, we have a lot of Christmas romances here. I do actually talk about them all in a vlog, which I should probably just link up here rather than repeating myself, but you know. Next one I read was Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey. This one was very short and I actually really enjoyed it. I know a lot of people don't like this one. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was really fun. I liked both of the main characters. Our female main character has just been let out of prison, and I liked seeing that kind of like, I don't know, I guess I liked just seeing that in a character. I thought that was an interesting take. Our male main character is a little bit annoying, but I still enjoyed it. I like Tessa Bailey's writing, so it was a book that I did genuinely enjoy, and I gave it 4 stars. Then with another Christmas read, I read The Christmas Bookshop by Jenny Colgan. This one I was not expecting to like. I've read a couple of Jenny Colgan's over the last few years, and they've all been okay. This one I gave 4 stars. I was surprised how much I enjoyed it. It follows 2 sisters who are slightly estranged, and the one sister comes to stay with her sister in Edinburgh. The mum has sort of made them get together, so the sister in Edinburgh is wealthy, she is a lawyer, she is pregnant, and she has 2 children already. The other sister has only ever worked in a department store, has just lost her job, and is quite envious of, I think it's her older sister, of her sister anyway. So the mum says, no, go and stay with your sister, help her out while she's pregnant. And to the other one, I can't remember their names, says, have your sister come and stay with you, she'll help you out, and you can help her get a job. It would be really great. So she ends up, the other sister, she ends up working in a bookshop in Edinburgh to try and save this bookshop that is facing ruin. And we end up kind of seeing those kind of typical Christmas tropes of, helping out each other, becoming friends, forming neighborhoods and community. But I really liked it. I just thought it was fantastic. I just genuinely enjoyed this book. I don't really have very much else to say other than it was really good. It was really fun. It was very cute. I enjoyed the romance in it. It is very much a clean romance as well, if that is something that you prefer. But yeah, I gave this one 4 stars. Next, continuing the Christmas reads, I moved on to The Naughty or Nice Clause by Kate Callahan. I didn't really like this one. I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. What I didn't really like about it is we follow our main character who her grandfather has left her in charge of their toy company, except he's also sold out the majority share to someone called Mr. Claus. And then it turns out that Mr. Claus is actually of the Santa Claus family, and they magically go away to the North Pole and meet the rest of his family. And I just didn't need the weird fantastical magic in it. It didn't work for me, unfortunately. It just didn't. Then next on the Christmas romances, we've got A Holly Jolly Ever After. I gave this one 4.5 stars. I loved it. This is by Julia Murphy and Sierra Simone. I read A Merry Little Meet Cute last year and I loved it. This is the sequel. We're following another one of the band members who is making films as part with the, I think it was called Uncle Ray's film company, who normally makes porn films. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was super fun, light-hearted. I also thought it had a really good level of like depth to it. So our two main characters are Callum and, can't remember her name, but Winnie I think it is. She has been like a child star, a child actress. Her parents are incredibly religious. She was married at 18 and that's her husband is the only person that she has ever had sex with. And they have now got divorced. Callum is another one of the band members. We followed the first band member, Niall? No? Began with N anyway, can't remember his name. In the first book, Callum has kind of become infamous for releasing a sex tape. So the two of them are the leads in a sexy Santa movie. It's not a porno, but it's very sex heavy. And Winnie kind of realizes that she needs to know, you know, there's a couple of scenes where she has to be, you know, she's having to have an orgasm and she's never had one, so she doesn't know what it looks like or what to do. So she asked Callum to sort of teach her how to have sex and how to show that on camera. This then like develops into a relationship, which I think is just super adorable. This also has a trope in which generally I hate. It is generally one of my least favourite tropes in romance, but the way that it was handled and the way that it was done in this book made me really like it. And I think the reason for this is normally the reason why I hate this trope, and again, I'm not going to mention it just because of spoilers, but normally this is a trope that kind of just appears in an epilogue and you're just like, oh, we've just ruined everything, can we not? But this trope appeared halfway through the book and it then became its own storyline, which I think really, really worked. So yeah, 4.5 stars for Holly Jolly Ever After. Moving on, we have then got another 4.5 stars, A Curse for True Love. This is the final book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series by Stephanie Garber. I gave this one 4.5 stars. I really, really enjoy the series. It is a YA fantasy. We follow Evangeline Fox, who goes to the magnificent north to kind of find magic, I guess. She believes in like magic and fairy tales, and in the north a lot of them are true. I won't tell you too much about this one because it is the third in a series. I loved book 1 and 2. Book 2 I think is my favourite. This one I felt was a little bit too meandering. I felt the plot went off in too many different directions for it to be a 5-star, but 4.5 stars, I did really, really like it. We then have a book that I read for work, so I'm not going to give you ratings or tell you my thoughts on it, but I read The Widow's Choice by Nancy Revel. This is a historical fiction set in, I think, the 1930s, 1949. We follow someone, Angie, who has married this man who is very well off. He has like a big country estate. He dies, she becomes the titular widow. So then we've got this book where kind of we're following her and her I guess her new family as well as a found family, her siblings who live with her. It is a kind of spin-off, I guess, from the Shipyard series, Shipyard Girls. But I think if you have read the Shipyard Girls, this would be one that you would probably really, really enjoy. I then read War by, can't remember her name, put it up here, Kate, I don't remember the name. I feel so bad about this one. I did not enjoy it. I gave this one 2.5 stars. So this was part of a book loop that I did with my friends, where we each like read and annotated a favourite book, and then we swapped it around, so we'd all be reading and annotating each other's favourites. So very, very sorry to Alexis. This was her favourite book, and I did not enjoy it. So it's a YA fantasy, which first of all, I do struggle with YA fantasy now. It's not something that I tend to gravitate towards. And my issues with this book, I guess I had sort of like two main issues that massively impacted my enjoyment. The first one was the magic system. I did not understand the magic system at all. At all. I did not think it was ever explained. And for me, that really does impact my enjoyment. If I don't understand why the characters are doing what they're doing, like how this magic works, it really does take me out of the story. I need, like for me, logic, even in fantasy, is really important. I need everything to make sense within the world that you've built. And it just didn't in this one. And then the other issue for me was the characters. We had that kind of typical male YA character of, I've never spoken to you before, but I am madly in love with you, so I'm going to just be abusive. You know, where he is threatening people who have spoken to the female character. He's threatening to lock her up because he loves her so much. Which for me, I don't like. I am not actually a fan of the sort of like touch her and you die trope. It can be done, it can be fun, it can be done well, but I feel like it has to be done in like an adult way. And I just find it I found that the way that it was handled in Raw, it came across as possessive, as aggressive, and as made me actually very uncomfortable. Like if it felt like if I knew a 16-year-old who was treating their partner like that, I would be yelling abuse. So that again just took me out of the story. And so with those two issues kind of taking me out of the story, I couldn't get on board with the plot. So yeah, I'll be honest, I would have DNF'd this one, but because I was reading this as part of like a book club with my friends, I didn't want to. But hindsight, I probably just should have DNF'd it and said like, yeah, no, this was not for me. We then have got the next in the Wheel of Time, Lord of Chaos. I gave this one 3.5 stars. This one is chunky. It is just over 1,000 pages. Including the glossary, it's like 1,020 pages. But actual text is like 993. So, you know, this is a chunky book. And I was slightly dreading this one. I thought not only is it super chunky, I've heard this is kind of the start of the infamous slog. But I enjoyed this one a lot more than I thought I would. So I gave it 3.5 stars. This makes it one of the highest rated for me in the Wheel of Time series, I believe. They've all got between like 3 and 3.5, to be honest. I might have slipped in a 4-star, but I don't remember now. But what I liked about this one, I liked actually seeing Rand develop. For one side, I did not hate Rand, which is always a bonus. I liked seeing the three women Aes Sedai, so Egwene, Nynaeve and Elaine. I liked their storylines. I thought I don't want to give spoilers, but I thought the plot line with Egwene did kind of surprise me. I thought it would happen eventually. I wasn't surprised that plot line happened, but I was surprised it happened now. I was expecting that to be kind of something towards like the conclusion of the series, but I liked that. Matt and Perrin, I didn't enjoy quite so much in this one. Matt was just being sexist and annoying, and Perrin just was very two-dimensional. But overall, like I said, 3.5 stars. I did enjoy it. I am looking forward to the next one, which is shorter. if we're honest. We then go back into my festive romance time, and I read Snow Place Like LA by Julia Murphy and Sierra Simone. This is a novella that actually goes between that goes between A Merry Little Meet Cute and Holly Jolly Ever After. This one follows Luca, who is the designer on set, and Angel, who is Uncle Wade's son. It's a super cute, queer little romance. We've got miscommunication. We've got just, I don't know. I liked this one a lot. I thought it was super, super cute. I don't think it particularly, I thought it was actually a really well done novella where it didn't add anything massive to the overarching sort of series. But I think by reading it, I can pick up on some things that happened in Holly Jolly Ever After that, because I'd read that one first, I kind of hadn't paid attention to. So it kind of does add to the enjoyment of the series, but it doesn't add to any understanding of the series, which again, I really, really liked. And I gave it 3.5 stars. We've then got another book that I read for work, which was The Stranger in Her House by John Mars. So this one, me and a group of girls at work, we all read it together. Again, I'm not going to give rating or my thoughts on this one, but this one is a thriller where we follow Connie, whose mum has got dementia. And this guy called Paul has started helping out. He's, part of this charity who helps out elderly people with dementia. Connie doesn't trust him. And throughout the story, we as the reader are trying to work out, do we trust Paul? Is Connie being delusional? Do we trust Connie? What's going on here? There were so many twists and turns in this book. I think if you do like a really twisty, kind of almost psychological thriller, pick it up. Then back on my Christmas time, I read Stay Another Day by Juno Dawson. I really, really enjoyed this one as well. I gave this one 4 stars. This one, again, it's a typical Juno Dawson contemporary. It's got her voice all over it, and it's so well written. I really enjoyed getting to know the siblings that we're following. So in this one, basically, we're following 3 siblings who are going home for Christmas. The Christmas before, they didn't have a Christmas. The younger sibling, Willow, was in hospital. The 2 eldest, the twins, Rowan and Fern had gone home for Christmas. Rowan had gone to France. So they didn't have a family Christmas. However, things that had happened last Christmas sort of impacted this year when they've all gone home. Fern has brought her boyfriend. Rowan has brought his friend. And there is romantic issues. There are family drama. There's sibling rivalry. I loved it. There were so many queer characters in here. Of course, it's Juno Dawson. I did think that the eating disorder rep with Willow was done so well. I thought that was done fantastically, but I would say do just be aware of trigger warnings going into this one. I am going to start talking a little bit quicker because I realised I've been filming for over 20 minutes already. But the next book I read, my only 5-star of the month, was The Golden Enclaves by Naomi Novik. This is the last book in the Scholarman's trilogy, and I loved it. So it starts just where The Last Graduate left off. I'm not going to tell you too much about this one. Again, it's a 3rd in a trilogy. But this one, again, just like the other 2, was full of twists of turns. Oh, I've lost my light there. Full of twists and turns. It is so gripping. Every single chapter is a cliffhanger, and I just thought it was fantastic. Loved it. The Scholarman's is a dark academia kind of school fantasy, but it is so much more than that. The actual school setting is important in book 1. The school setting's there in book 1 and 2. The school setting is not here in book 3, but I think that it's such a unique school, it's such a unique magic world. I just genuinely enjoyed this one. The next Christmassy book I read was Murder on the Christmas Express by Alexandra Benedict. I gave this one 3 stars. It was fun, it was fast, it had some really interesting elements, like there were like clues and quizzes throughout, which I liked the idea of. In my opinion, this one just needed more editing. There were quite a few typos where, you know, the wrong name was given to a character. This one was a little bit, there were a few too many errors that took me out of the story. It was good, I enjoyed it. I would say again, check trigger warnings on this one. But I gave it 3 stars. I am gonna, sorry, just rush through these last few. Last book I read for work is The Cloisters by Katie Hayes. This one is another dark academia. We follow Anne, who has applied for a internship, I think, at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. She doesn't get that, and instead she is working in the Cloisters, which is kind of like the museum where they store stuff. I can't think what the word I'm looking for is. There is a strong theme of tarot in here, where tarot cards are something that they're trying to kind of find and like collect, I guess. Yeah, if you like dark academia, especially ones which are more academia led, give this one a go. 2 more books to go. Next I read The Killer in the Snow by Alex Pines. I gave this one 2.5 stars. Premise I liked. I guessed the big twist very, very early on, and I guessed the murderer fairly early on with about 100 pages left. I'd worked out who'd done it. So for me, I found it fairly predictable. And something that for me, this is really, really nitpicky, but for me, like the tagline in this one is, "A family sleeps, a killer awakes." And on the back, "The first fall of snow can be fatal." None of those things are applicable to the story. A family is not sleeping, a family has been murdered. A killer has not awakened. They've just murdered people. First fall of snow can be fatal. No, the murder's got nothing to do with snow, other than the fact that it happened to be snowing because it's set at Christmas. So yeah, it was a fun read. It was a very, very fast read, but it just, for me, was a bit too predictable. And I didn't like the tagline. And finally, the last book that I read in December, and my last book of 2023, was Feybound by Sarah Alarifi. I really liked this book. I've given it 4 stars. I thought that it was a really fun read. It had, I really enjoyed the characters in this one, and I really enjoyed their relationships. For me, there wasn't enough plot. I do quite like a plot-driven book, and for me this was much more character-driven. The characters were really well developed. I did really like how in this world gender is optional, so we have a lot of non-binary characters. I liked as well, I did like the idea and the premise and the plot that there was. I just wanted a little bit more plot to kind of drive that story forward a little bit more, rather than just kind of seeing characters and relationships develop. I am excited for the rest of this series though. I believe it's going to be a trilogy, and I think that the next books, obviously this one technically hasn't even come out yet, but I think the next books could be 5 stars because this was a brilliant start to a series. Just for me, I wanted a little bit more. The plot that there was there, I did see coming. So like the bad guys in this one and the plot reveals that happen, I did predict. Which again, for me, if there'd been a little bit of a heavier focus on the plot, I'd have expected to have seen more there to be more kind of strands of plot, so that I wouldn't necessarily predict everything. But because there was only one strand of plot, for me, I could work out what was happening fairly quickly, which I enjoyed. But again, just my own personal opinion is that I wanted just a little bit more. Right, well, this wrap up has gone on for far too long, so I'm going to stop talking.